welcome to episode 226 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills. I'm joined as always by Mr. Graham Raddings. If you haven't listened before, this is a podcast where we discussed games that released for the Commodore 64. We were using the magazine Zap 64 as a monthly guide for the games to focus on, and we're in no way affiliated with Zap 64 itself, but we've covered all those games now, so that is no longer happening. We've done that bit. We're moving on. This week, we begin our look at those games that reviewed in the successor to Zap 64, Commodore Force, over the period of 1993 and 1994. There were only 45 new games reviewed over this period, and some issues of the magazine had no new games reviewed at all. So we're not doing this in chronological order, just rather taking a sample from those 45 each month until we run out and have to think of something else to do. So Graham, a new format, a new magazine, a new era, still the same old us, right?
Well, here we go. We've done all the games through all 90 issues of Zap 64, and so now we're moving on to a whole new phase of the podcast and through a whole new magazine in the shape of Commodore format. What delights wait us over the coming months? Well, that would be telling, but for this episode, we start things off with the fancy pants, super-coded, speedy scrolling, pixel blur, extra-coloured platform worlds of the legendary C64 game, Mayhem in Monsterland. Then we stand pixel to pixel and attempt to pull off any kind of fidget-foo combat moves in the stupid Fist Fighter. Then we drive a tiny lorry around a tiny racetrack, all from the viewing angle of a 5,000 metre high drone in International Truck Racing, and then we grab our paddles, assume the position, and shout, "Thank you, sir, may I have another?" before slapping some balls across a net in International Table Tennis. Do you know what? Out of all of those, what really impresses me is that the Rolands, well, they sure knew how to code, didn't they? I wonder if they ever did any demos. Yes, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. It's the same methodology. No, we're in absolute new territory here for me, because other than a few of the things I've heard of by reputation and a few licenses that, of course, I've heard of because I'd heard of the films or whatever. Some of these things are just complete unknowns to me. Complete unknowns. Some of the words I don't even understand some of these things. And I mean, we've heard of some of the big titles. There's 4 games for this. So basically, it's going to be in these sort of Commodore themed ones for the next 11 months. There'll be 4 games. I think it's 5 at the very last one, because there's 45. Doesn't divide into anything special, but 4 games, then 5. And so we've got 4 names. I had heard of one of these by reputation alone. Yeah, same.
The other 3, not a clue.
The other 3, people are going to hear about them from us by reputation alone.
Yeah, true. That is true, actually. But yeah, so it's new. I mean, the format's pretty much the same. We're still going to review them in the same detail and everything. It's just for the games. The music, the films, they're not going to be part of this anymore. It's like we used to do with the monthly thing, because it's not a monthly guide anymore. It's not a monthly sort of look. So they have kind of gone to the wayside. But there will be music and films in the other episode each month.
That's right.
Episode each month. Obviously, that'll be out in a couple of weeks' time. As you may know, as you may not know, that will be on the Tron series. Tron. Tron.
There's a lot to it as well. A lot more I thought.
Yeah, games, films, loads of games, loads of films. And be interesting to sort of look at them and how they kind of changed and how they kind of moved along, but it always had that same blue hue.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is with that, as I've discovered, it's also theme park rides, believe it or not, as well.
Oh, wow, go, you got to bring them things in.
There was a lot more invested by Disney in that than I actually imagined there would be, especially at the start, but we'll cover all that when we talk about the Trons.
The Trons, indeed.
When we talk about the Trons.
Yeah. So, same old stuff, same detail, same fun, same stuff. If you're not aware, you probably should be aware if you listen to this. At present, and running up until Saturday, 9 a.m., the 23rd of May, we have a Kickstarter up and running at the moment. We're about 3/4 of the way to our target, which is cool.
Yeah.
But, we still haven't got it. So if you are feeling like you want to back the book of the podcast, it is a Zap to the Past book, where we are looking at 25 games. There's still it's expensive, I know, but you're asking us to pick it. You're getting to choose a game, so there's still one of those left. There are still signed copies available. There are still art prints available. Go to zappedtothepastbook.com if you want to pledge and pledge. Every little helps if you want us to get us over that finish line. We've got about another couple of grand to make. So if you could do that, that would be brilliant. And we'll see if we can get that done and then give us something to write over the summer. We ain't got enough to do, but that's cool. So zappedtothepastbook.com. go and pledge. That would be cool. You could also sign up to our Patreon. Remember, there is a bonus Patreon episode now each month. And so if you want to listen to that in full, then you need to go and join the Patreon, patreon.com/Zapped to the Past.
Absolutely.
Which is always very nice if you wish to do that. We've also, I'd just like to say that we've had a couple of contributions to our Ko-fi, which is always nice.
That's nice.
It was, yes. Since our last one, someone called Bashing Dinosaurs made a donation. They said, "Well done for making it." Not sure what we made. I presume it means made it to the end of the podcast, but it could have been anything. It could be a cake.
Made it to the end of phase one. You've got to stop saying it's the end of the podcast. I think people think we're not
end of phase one. Sorry, end of the phase one. Well, end of that era. Yes, I know. It's just
phase one. That's what that means.
Phase one.
I know, but just stick to phase one.
I know, but then we're getting very close to phase 4, and we'll have to go 100% yellow. And I'm not quite sure we're ready for that. That's fine by me.
But if you keep telling everyone it's the end of the podcast, people are going to think it's the end of the podcast, and it ain't.
Oh, they'll still listen. It's not. They'll still have them subscribed to, and they'll go, "Oh, it's keeping going." Be a nice surprise, a pleasant surprise. They know we're going. Also, as well, Roger McNally, a long-time fan and contributor to the podcast. He did as well. So thank you very much, Roger. Greatly appreciated. So that's cool. Roger said that thank you so much for playing the game so we didn't have to. You've created a truly amazing historic document which uniquely captures the C64 and the culture of the time.
Wow.
I know, high praise indeed.
That is. I mean, we didn't mean it.
No, Eddie Thumper might blush.
Eddie Thumper doesn't blush.
Gary Lineker doesn't understand.
There's nothing new about that.
No.
Gary blush. No, Gary, don't get involved. Just don't get involved. Here, here's your Connect 3 toy. Play with that.
Gary Connect. No, Gary.
Oh, no, not again, no.
Oh, don't punch him, Eddie. Don't punch him. It's not nice.
Eddie, stop that.
So thank you for that. That is brilliant. Obviously, we always appreciate all those kind of contributions and things, and the very, very kind comments. It does mean a lot to us. Okay, on that note, should we get some games?
I think it's probably time after that heavy plugging, but zapptothepastbook.com and all that other heavy plugging we do, zapptothepastbook.com.
We're just going to run a subliminal message in the background. This zapptothepastbook.com. Just, just run that really, really, really low and subaudibly. People will be why
Paul McKenna, he does that.
I keep typing this website address. Why do I keep typing it?
Exactly. That's Paul McKenna territory. He did that. Yeah, I once had one of those quit. I can't remember if it was smoking at the time or whatever it was, but I went on Paul McKenna, quit whatever it was, for DVDs, videos.
Tapes?
I think it was a CD, but all he did was just talk really deep. He was like, right, so I'm going to start in a moment. Do not smoke, you idiot. I was like, okay, thanks, Paul. I'm pretty sure I'd pay 50 quid for that privilege, but okay. But maybe
what he did, he was actually in the corner of your room. That's what he was.
I did have McKenna's Corner for a while, to be fair. So it was never a TV program that was going to catch too many listeners and viewers. That welcome to McKenna's Corner,
where I sit in the corner of someone's bedroom and mutter at them subaudibly.
Exactly, and make them fall asleep instantly, and then get up and just walk around and fall asleep again, and they won't remember anything. So what's the point?
And they really, really want a cigarette.
Yeah. Plus, you can't hypnotise Eddie Thumper. He'll just thump you before you get there. You are feeling more. That's what I do.
You mustn't punch anyone anymore. It's what he does. Right, let's get some games. We've got 4, and one is a big one. 3 are never heard of them. Let's get to that very, very first one. And so let's start this new phase of the podcast with one of probably the most celebrated games on the machine. Oh, and I was thinking, is it actually? Because everyone knows it. Maybe people know it by reputation, but it comes late, doesn't it? It comes late, 1993. And you thought we might never get to it. But here we are. It's Mayhem in Monsterland. Scored 97% in Commodore Force. And it got a whopping 100% in Commodore format.
Wow. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Or as I've written, which is some mad shit, really.
Okay, yeah. It is stupid to get something 100%, isn't it, really?
Yeah, as technically impressive as this game is, it doesn't deserve 100%. And even that 97% is doing some stretching, but different time, I guess. Different time. And I guess seeing this back in 1993 on the C64 would have probably blown your mind or something. If all you knew was the C64, because, is pretty technically impressive. Anyway, the Rolands are back with their final game on the C64, and they've certainly brought all their knowledge and experience to bear on this one. And they published this one themselves. In an interview on Lemon, Steve Rowland said they made more money from this one than they did from all of their previous games put together.
Wow.
Which is quite something.
That's way more than £8.
I know, absolutely. So publisher and developer is Apex Computer Productions. Design here is by Steve Rowland and Andy Roberts. He's got listings on this, Andy Roberts, as Summer Camp and the Hunter's Moon remake. Code is by Andy Roberts and John Rowlands. I think Andy did something to do with the intro, it says in the intro bits. And the visuals and sound are by Steve Rowlands.
Oh, they're well Rowlandy, this.
It is well Rowland. As usual, we have a story to set this up, and it goes like this. Mayhem didn't enjoy living in Monsterland. It was always cold, it was always windy, and it rained every Sunday. It was clearly no place for a cute baby dinosaur. However, rumour has it that Monsterland has not always been such an unpleasant place to live. The sun used to shine onto green fields with luscious vegetation and scenic mountains, until an apprentice magic dinosaur had too much cactus juice and decided to practice a few of his master's spells. The next morning, when all the monsters awoke, Monsterland had been transformed into a very dark and unhappy place. Mayhem wants to change Monsterland back, but has no magic powers to do this, so he enlists the help of his friend Theo-saurus, the dinosaur responsible for Monsterland's ghastly state. Theo lives below Monsterland in a hidden cave to avoid the wrath of the monsters. Here he waits for Mayhem to collect magic dust. With this in his possession, he flies across Monsterland, sprinkling the magic dust in order to transform it back to a happy place. I think someone else has been on the magic dust. I think that's the end of it. So there's a bit of happy Roland magic dust going around there, for sure. So just pop down with the magic dust, Mayhem.
Yeah, you got any of that magic dust you were talking about?
I'll paint this a land of rainbow. However, because Theo is only a trainee, his magic doesn't always work as well as he'd like it to. Some of the magic dust that he spreads over Monsterland is a little excessive and clumps together to form magic stars. This magic could be dangerous in the wrong hands. What are these? I'll just eat this. Whoa, the shreds of reality are ripping apart.
All the colours of the bow.
Oh no, you've done something bad to the dinosaurs.
Moon pie.
So Mayhem must collect any magic stars he finds to prevent any further disasters of an LCD kind. LSD, not LCD, LSD kind. So anyway, there's hints of Whizball in that, I think. Barren Land that needs to be restored to its former colourful glory, and other games too, which I'll
Mario
later, but you know. Yeah. I mean, there is. The game starts with the usual Apex flair. It's a very nice intro. I mostly played this on a cartridge version for ease of use. I did check out the disc version as well, but the cartridge. And we get Mayhem as a starter. This is on the cartridge in a sort of Looney Tunes style circle, which is quite nice. And we can watch the intro, which has a great mock MTV logo, Mayhem TV, and all the usual swish of Apex before we get a bouncy tune and an introduction to all the creatures and some credits. It's very good and exactly what you'd expect after Creatures 2, I suppose. You know, it's the polish here is high. You know, there's proper Mr. Sheen on this damn thing. The game itself is made up of 5 levels, split into 2 worlds. Each one split into 2 worlds. It's a multi-load, each pair of levels loading in separately. The first of these, Jellyland, loads in first. And we also get our 2 targets for the level shown to us, which is the magic we've got to get and the star. So it's magic quota and star quota. Once it loads in there, we get the Mayhem in Monsterland name appearing. You get Mayhem in Monsterland, like, you know, flashing on. And then the level appears behind it and it kind of scrolls off to the right. And it's at this point you start to realize how technically accomplished this damn thing is. There's different effects in the words Mayhem. There's drop shadow, words Mayhem and Monsterland. There's drop shadow, use of color on the screen. Pretty much unlike any C64 game you've seen before. This is like
very, very clever
stuff going on here. And the background is pretty much full screen, scrolling smoothly, and a nice jaunty tune is playing. Instantly, you're like, this looks impressive. Oh, this is very, very good. There's no options. You can watch this all you like, but the music does end. It doesn't loop, so it means what it is. Pressing fire gets us going. We're introduced to the first part of the level, where the status of Jellyland is sad. Sad. Aww. A morose tune plays. A grey and washed-out landscape scrolls past in the middle, and the sun looks distinctly unhappy. This is on the little interstitial screen. It's nice. Again, this presentation is high. Press fire again, and Mayhem comes skidding into the middle of the screen, and then the level fades in around him. It's great. That's really nice sort of intro touch. You know, it's very Sonic-esque. You can see where they've been looking for this, and it's one of the countless impressive touches that litter this game. So Mayhem itself, single yellow sprite, very Sonic in appearance with his spiky back. And the landscape around him is all muted blues, greens, and greys at this point. And the game itself, well, it's a bi-directional horizontal scrolling platformer. So think Whizball for theme and colour and things, but actually think more Flimbo's Quest and Hawkeye.
Yeah, totally.
And you won't be far off. Controls are simple enough, left and right to get Mayhem moving. He is inertia-based, so the longer you hold the direction, the faster he gets. Up to jump. You have a decent jump that, again, responds to how long you hold up for. So little tap and he'll do a small jump, a big tap and he'll do a big jump, and, long hold it down. And you can control him in the air, which is always good. You can duck with down, but on certain platforms, it's quite easy to see, not the less solid ones. Downward fire allows you to drop down to the platform below, like in things like Rolling Thunder, I suppose, where you jump off to the ledge and things like that. The game takes up just about the whole screen. There's perhaps a character width at the bottom that contains part of the UI. It's showing your score, the number of magic or star bits you need to collect, depending on whether you're in the sad or the happy version of the level, the time remaining, and the number of lives left. Your job here is simply to navigate the left to right world and jump on the heads of the enemies patrolling about in order to kill them. Also in order to see if they are carrying some magic. They carry it in little bags, some of them. You don't know which ones, just jump on the ones. Usually some are set, I think, some are random, I think. If they are carrying a bag, this will be left behind. Run into it to collect it. Your quota for magic will count down. There are checkpoints scattered about the level as well. And should you die or fall into one of the pits along the bottom, this is where you will respawn. There's another great nice touch here. These checkpoints are on, sometimes on a high platform, a low platform, middle platform. And when you respawn, Mayhem charges onto the screen and skids into place at the right vertical height where the checkpoint is, which is a great touch. So this level fades around and it sort of comes on, so it's down at the bottom. He'll come on from the bottom running on and hit the checkpoint point. But it's a really cool little sort of presentational touch. I was like, oh, that is very nice. And to start with, enemies come in simple guises, wandering dinosaurs. Some of them spit stars and some birds to contend with. But if you jump on any of them from above, this kills them. And I'm happy to say that I found the collision detection for this to be on the side of the player mostly, and landing on them was fairly easy and forgiving. And you can even drop through the platforms to land on them, which is good. That could have been might be mean and you had to jump on them, but no, just anywhere from above, hit them on the head. They'll be dead, and if they've got a bit of magic, they'll drop that. Along the bottom layer of the level, there will be a diagonal marker. You'll see it as you're sort of moving along. At first, don't drop down it, because you'll lose a life. You have to wait. So when you've collected all the magic bits, your magic counter is down to 0. If you go back to that, it's animating. So it's sort of animating downwards, this diagonal marker. It's quite thick. You can't miss it. You drop down through this, and you'll meet the dinosaur, Theosaurus, who caused all this trouble. They'll give you a bit of a message saying how happy they are that you've got all this stuff. And they turn the land to its happy state. And this point, the visuals really take a turn for the bright and the impressive. Whilst the level layout remains the same, the visuals and colour are cranked up. And there is very little on the machine from that period to contend with this. Obviously, probably newer games probably doing similar sort of things, but back then, nothing comes close. There's such a clever use of shading, overlaying of colours. It looks way more than you can get a C64 can deliver. There's some really clever stuff on this. Alongside this, the music takes a turn for the more jaunty. The whole thing becomes a livelier, more dynamic feeling game. Enemies are charged up with large dinos appearing who need 2 jumps on their back to destroy. And your job here is to collect all the stars. There's loads of them. You've got to collect about 100 out of them. Some are floating in the sky. Some will be dropped by enemies. Some of them are congealed into packs that are worth 10. You just got to get them down to, you collect them all as many as you can. Once you do, towards the right-hand side of the level, you find another thinner diagonal marker along the bottom, which is the part where you get transported to the next level. So that's kind of it. 5 levels in all. Pipeland, Spottyland, Cherryland, and Rockland. Each of these follow the same format, pretty much as before. Find the magic in the grey and washed out versions before being transported to the much more colourful version to find all the stars. The monsters and layouts obviously vary, but the core loop is very much the same throughout the game. There are collectibles as well, and one of them is kind of necessary to make your way through it, actually. There are score multipliers and shields that offer temporary invulnerability. You have the ability to take a hit from an enemy. You kind of take a multi-hit, so you take one and you'll start flashing, but a second one will kill you. This will take one of your lives off. If you lose all 3 lives, you are offered a continue, of which you have 3. If you lose all 3 lives and your 3 continues, it is game over. You can pick up health pickups to restore your hits to 2. The enemies drop these. You can also pick up extra lives and continues as well. But the more important one is the lightning bolt. Now, this appears once on the Happy Jellyland level. It's quite near where you sort of respawn after going down to see Theosaurus. You can't really miss it. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to do your charge move. So when running at full speed, pressing fire allows you to do like a Sonic-style mega speed run, which kills all enemies, clears bigger gaps, and that kind of thing. And it's very impressive. The speed at which this game then scrolls all this color and screen without a hiccup, without anything, is pretty impressive. And you'll fly, you can jump around, as soon as you get up to full speed, press fire, and you can whip around the screen a lot faster. And that's kind of cool because you're going to need it for the rest of the game. But essentially, that's it. It's a simple platform game, taking the germ of the idea from Whizball, and then a lot of the design from Hawkeye and Flimbo's Quest, and mapping those onto probably the most technically advanced game on the system. But, is that still Turrican 2? I don't know. They're very impressive, the pair of them. The speed at which everything moves, you can probably sort of say more to the technical side of things. You probably know more about than I do. The speed at which everything moves, the amount of colour, the controls, the presentation, it's all top-notch and beyond just about anything else we've seen. Whilst the main sprites can be a little blocky, they are full of character and well-animated. The death animations for the enemies when you land on them, causing them to shatter into a spray of stars, is really, really beautiful. It's really nice. And Mayhem's little look of fear at the edge of platforms is reminiscent of other better platformers on the more powerful 16-bit machines, like when Sonic's at an edge, teetering on an edge and things like that. All those touches in here, they basically try to do that for this. Then there are the things like lightning in the first level that backlights the part of the background you cannot see at this point. The hills and stuff that you can't see because it's all black in the background get backlit. The lightning sort of fills the space atop and you see the silhouette of them. Very, very clever. When you get the boost power up and run for some time, the fact that the C64 is scrolling all those colours, that speed is pretty incredible. And I'm not sure. I think there's some weird trick they used, which didn't work on all C64s. Some technical wizardry they wielded here. But
VSP is what you're looking for.
Okay.
There.
Yeah, but it's very, very clever. The sounds and music, they're also great. Different tunes for different parts of the levels that kind of sag into each other, which is really good. Sound effects and music at the same time. No hiccups between them. It's incredible, really. It's one of the most polished pieces of code and engine work I've seen on the C64. You cannot fault it, really, in any way. I couldn't find any bugs. I couldn't find any platform stuff. Just nothing.
Nope.
So in that respect, it deserves all the plaudits it gets. But it's not perfect to play for me. First up, respawning enemies. I don't like them. I've said time and time again, I don't like them. And they're here, and it makes navigation a pain in the ass when you're going back and forth across the level. Now, but the aardvark showed you don't need to respawn enemies that you've killed. And this would have been better had that been adapted here, perhaps. Then there are the tight quarters jumps, where hitting your head on a ceiling seems a tad punitive at times. Maybe not enough room. And I think this is a victim of the fact that thing you're saying that VSP is left to right horizontal scrolling. They've only got the height of the screen. They can't move up and down. They're not scrolling up and down. So they've got that. That's your lot. That's all you can fit in. And fitting in platforms and gaps and jumps enough to pit is sometimes just a bit too tight. And it can often lead, and I found it often led to instant deaths. You catch a sort of bit of rocks hanging down and plunge into a pit and you lose life. It's like, that's annoying. They're quite common as well. And sometimes there's an enemy you've got to get past, which is sat right in the edge of this little cave bit, and there's a tiny little space above him, and he's spitting stars at you. So, why do that? And this is exacerbated by them respawning. So you kill him, you get into the cave bit, you come back and he's there again. It's like, I killed you.
Yeah.
And the game never really changes over the 5 levels. You just do the same thing in each one, just with harder to navigate levels. I say, once again, it's a hard game as well. So thank God for AL82 Retro and his channel. Some of these levels are incredibly difficult, which was the norm for the day. I get it. Going back to it now, though, it's really, really hard. But, as a technical benchmark, I'm not sure it gets much better. Like I said, maybe Turrican 2 still at high point because there's some really technical, clever stuff in that. Maybe it's this. I don't know. I'll also say that I'm not sure starting you off in the grey nighttime level was the best thing to do because it feels a bit depressing. It's quite the challenge just to get to the first happy land. And I was thinking that it may have been better to start you off in like a small happy level and see the event happen to encourage you to want to get it back to the way it was.
The Mario method.
Yeah. Or Metroid. Metroid games start you with everything, all the powers and everything, and then something happens to Samus and you lose all your powers, but you've had a taste of what they're all like. So it gives you that impetus to want to get back to where you started. That could have been a design for, just have you control Mayhem just running and jumping around, whatever, and then it all turns to thingy and then it all happens. Don't know, just a thought. It's technically incredible, this. I can see why it wowed the reviewers back then. As it's basically, it's almost a 16-bit game on the machine. It's so impressive. In the here and now, though, I think the gameplay lets it down somewhat. It's a bit too the same. If you look at things like, I was thinking, let's look at something like Mario and things like that, and Mario 3 and Mario 2, getting those sort of suits and different abilities, the fires, the swoops, the things they could have played around with what Mayhem could do giving you more power-ups and made the gameplay a little bit more varied and stuff. But I think because what they've got is what they have, it's just 5 levels of very, very similar platforming and technically excellent action that just it's a bit too hard for its own good. So I enjoyed my time with it because it's, a really, really smart game for the system. But I wouldn't go back to it because it's too hard. It's just a bit repetitive for me, I think, these days. But, it's still a very impressive achievement for the C64. What about you?
I think you've been a bit overly harsh, if I'm honest. I think sort of set your expectations for 1993, really.
I know.
I mean, technically, it's about as good as it's ever going to get. I don't think you ever really get anything as technically good on the C64 until modern coding, maybe. For 1993, it's quite amazing what they've achieved in that. Yes, it's utilizing, some. It's actually a sort of utilizing a number of tricks together, and some of them have been learned from the demo code space. Of course, some of them are just because they're talented, very talented programmers, and they've built up to this through a series of games. It's utilizing a trick on the C64, so you can smooth scroll the screen at pretty much any speed in its entirety without really any cycle cost, a technique called VSP, and I'm not going to go into the technical details of that. That's what Martin Piper's for. So you can go and watch Martin Piper's deep dive video where he like Tron, he actually beams himself into the game and then works it from the inside, and he has to keep playing it until he gets derezzed. So from a technical point of view, not only have you got the VSP and all of that fancy technology, but you've also got utilizing a very clever color switching technique, so it blends colors together at the it's a bit of a CRT bleed trick. It's probably not going to really come across that well on modern monitors, I have to say, but on a CRT monitor, it looks like you've got a lot more than the standard palette of C64 colors there. And that's because it's utilizing a trick where when you put 2 colors quite close together, on the C64, you get a kind of another shade of the color. And they've obviously experimented with that. A trick that, again, is often used in demos and things like that. But it does mean the game has a really unique look. Certainly at the time, it runs at a speed. It's a Sonic variant. Now, that's really my only problem with it. And it's similar to yours. I mean, from a technical point of view, you're never going to get anything. I wouldn't say it was 100%, but from a technical point of view, this is a more or less faultless execution of C64 assembly in a way that I don't think we've ever seen before. In every respect, it's a very, very highly polished game, and fair play. They've pushed that machine to the point when you feel like you're looking at a console game, really, and not necessarily not necessarily an 8-bit console game. The look and feel of it does have that 16-bit tonality, and I think that's because they've just basically aimed to do that. We're going to make a Sonic game for the C64, and they did, pretty much. But the problems are, I never really liked Sonic for several reasons. I like pace in a game is important to me, but not breakneck pace where I feel like I'm out of control or something. That was always my hate with Sonic. When it was this, I would look how fast he goes. I'm like, that's great, but it's also I'm not in control of anything at this point. And the precision control of a Mario game is what appeals to me. You feel like you're in control of the pace of Mario, and that's an important juncture for me with these kind of platform games. I need to feel like that. That's why I would rate the game experience of Giant Sisters over this in terms of the way it does a Mario type game. Yeah, that's the right approach to take for this. A Mario type game on the C64 is what is going to work best. A Sonic type game on the C64, yes, you've got all the code chops and you've done an amazing job, but Sonic wasn't that great. And so if you like Sonic and you like that kind of speedy running about, and there is so much to like in this, then you're going to find something in it. It's not a big game. It is rock hard, but so was Sonic, actually, if you think about it. I spent more time bouncing off things and all my rings disappearing into the air and then, and all that off that game, and inadvertently, hitting something that's turbo sped me in a ball into the nearest spike. So I spent far more time doing that than I care to think about. So for me, this game is a technical marvel, a masterpiece, actually, and an example of some of the finest coding you're ever going to see in a C64. And if you don't believe me, just go and watch Martin Piper's video because he tells you all about it. His other name is Tron, I think, or Flynn, or Clue. I don't know which one, whichever one he wants. But for me, this game it's based on a game that I didn't really have much time for, and that gives it a flawed kind of tonality. It's a fun game if you like Sonic games, and it's an amazing thing on the C64. The problem overall, though, is that isn't actually a great game experience when you get down to it, and this is a rock-hard version of that. So it's a great thing. Go and play it because you should, because everyone should really look at that, because it is a testament to some strengths on a machine that you would never imagine could do those things. But in the back of your mind, you'd be thinking, I wish there was a bit more to this. I wish it was more like Mario and less like Sonic. And you'd be right about that. You would.
That's what I said. Well, I was being overly harsh.
You were, because you said, I don't know if it's that good, really. But it is good. It's a bit too Sonic-y for me, which is kind of what they were aiming for. So they did exactly what they set out to do. But
yeah, good. But I do think that there's I don't know. I think there's a lack of
Don't change your mind now, Mr. Flip Flop.
I'm not. I said there's a lack of variety in the levels, and I will stand by the fact that I think the best game the Rollins did was Retrograde. But
yeah, I'm not going to get into it. The best coding game is this one by far. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
But it depends. Horses for courses, isn't it? There's some people out there really like this one, and I don't blame them. But it's just too Sonic-y for me. I'm just not. I was never a fan of Sonic the Screwdriver, whatever he was.
Never mix a Doctor Who pun into this.
Chronic the Drug Wasp, I believe he was called, and something else.
God damn you. Yeah, I mean, yes, we agree. We're in agreement, basically. It's because it's technically astonishing, but it plays like a Sonic game. And so if you like Sonic games, then you might like this, but it's also a bit more tighter in feel than Sonic games because it can't go vertical. And I think that's a bit of a problem. And so you are left with this more tighter gameplay area, which leads to frustration in places.
It is tight quarters, I'll give you that. I mean, but that is as you rightly point out, that is the limitation of VSP, is that you've got a ceiling, not just a ceiling limit, you've got a ceiling.
Yeah, exactly.
None shall go past that. I mean, maybe they're beating that now with modern coding, that crazy code of Trident from Fairlight. He's another one. He's another clue. He's another Tron. He's been zapped into the C64 and
shown all its inner workings.
He doesn't have vocal cords. He's got a SID chip, and it just actually does a perfect emulation of Trident from Fairlight. He's such a cool guy. That guy, honestly, he really is. He's an ego.
But there you go. Mayhem in Monsterland is, technically bloody incredible, but it's a
too Sonic-y
for its own good. There you go. That's our first game to come back with. And like we started the first phase of the podcast, we kicked elite. Now here we are having a say Mayhem in Monsterland. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, yeah. But it's a bit frustrating. And
I'd say it's more Dizzo than Lave, I think, on the Dizzo to Lave scale.
Absolutely. It's not floating around a space station in bits after not being able to dock. That's for sure.
It's not trading textiles for 6 hours for no purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this is amazing. It's the best thing ever. Oh, dear.
Well, I've got a mining laser. After all 6 hours of trading textiles, I've got a mining laser. Are you going to go mining? No, it's absolutely no use for any reason.
No, I need to go out and get some sun.
Yeah, you do.
Right, there we go. That's our first game for this episode. Let's move on to our second one. It all goes downhill from here. In a very sharp and
quite rapid descent, actually.
In a very fast way. But let's get to that next game. And Graham, it's down to you to tell us all about the poorly titled Fist Fighter.
Well, yes, it is, isn't it? Goodness, where do you go with this? $3.99, so it was cheap-ish. It got 24% in the lofty pages of Commodore Force. Okay.
Yeah.
I call it that. I don't know. Commodore Force. Do you feel the force?
Commodore
Fist Fighter,
Force.
Though. Oh, Fist Fighter. Don't call it that. It was published by Zeppelin Games, of course, because they were the last bastion of budget, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Budget bastards, weren't they, really, at this point? DUC or whatever it is he says. It's Battle of the Bastards, isn't it, from Game of Thrones? This is a Ramsey letter, really, this is game. It was coded by David Sowerby. Now, he'd done loads of stuff for them. Frankenstein and Round the Bend spring to mind. There's quite a few more on his resume, though. He's a competent enough coder, so I don't know what happened here. And graphics are by Neil Hislop. He did Frankenstein, Round the Bend, and a bunch of others as well. Title screen, Neil Hislop, and the musician here is Andrew Roger. So the man with two first names. There you go. That's not on his T-shirt or anything, I don't think.
Could be.
So I did find some instructions for this in Polish. Of course they were in Polish, because there's actually a Polish version of this game. It's a pity they didn't apply Polish rather than Polish.
Oh, very good. Very good. Very good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, golf clap, I think, for that.
Everyone, that's the jape of the season.
Anyway, so Fist Fighter, it says, and these are the instructions translated, of course, by an AI. Fist Fighter is a game where you face 5 of the toughest street fighters in Japan, Egypt, and the USA. Why those places?
Don't know. Why not?
Why Japan, Egypt, and the USA? The game allows you to fight against the computer or another player. So it's 2-player or 1-player then in old school language, isn't it? Each of the fighters knows 12 moves and dodges. Among them are fighting styles unique to each character. JC rolls bowling balls. I don't know if that's a fighting style, really. He's a bowler, essentially.
He's a bowler.
If he rolls bowling balls, he's a bowler. And it doesn't say which kind. Is it bowls or is it 10-pin bowling? Otis uses a super punch. Lee Chung delivers a spinning kick. Merrick uses a psychic blow. To be fair, And Gino throws a knife. So, okay. Now, it's up to you where you think that those characters come from. JC sounds probably USA. Otis, probably USA. Lee Chung, I'm guessing, is Japan. Merrick, possibly Egypt. And Gino, I'm guessing USA.
Italy?
Italian, American? I don't know.
Who knows?
So it's a 1 or 2 player fighting game, for goodness sake. The controls, though, just so I'm going to explain these because they're of no use to you in the game, but I'm going to explain them.
Nope.
The player one controls just regular controls. Up is jump, right and up is high punch, right is move right, of course. Right and down is low punch. Okay. Down or left and down is swing attack. Left is move left and up is block. Now, if you press the fire button down, you get extra moves. Up is flying kick. It isn't because it doesn't really work. Right and up is high kick. Right and down is low kick. Right and middle is middle strike. Down or left plus down is use special move. But down or left plus down was swing attack. You'll never know what it means and you don't want to know. And left or left plus up. Left or left plus up is spinning kick. Well, or the roundhouse, I believe it was known in other better games than this one.
Uh-huh.
When you load this monstrosity up, you were presented with the brownest of brown screens with a nice yellow and orange interface to speak of and a logo in fat font. So, and it's okay. The logo's all right. I'll give it credit where credit's due. It said code by Dave at this bit. There's a menu where you can change the timer to on or off. There's skills that go from very hard to easy. You can choose the location, choose the number of players, choose the max number of rounds, and then you can view the results table if you want to. Why do you want to? I don't know. Then underneath that, there's 5 inexplicable pictures, 3 of which are human, and 1 is the Thing from the Fantastic Four. I don't know why he's there. We'll never know why he's there, but he's there. Okay, just he is.
No idea.
These represent the fighters that you can choose from and play against. Okay, so you'll want to make a selection out of that lot. There is music in the background of this. It's forgettable, but passable. It's not going to win any awards. We ain't going to be in a bread bins and going, well, that fist fighting music was legendary. Because it wasn't, but it was there. At least it was there.
It filled the space.
It filled that space. Now, interestingly, Adrian, one thing I will say is that the description of the controls in Polish is a little bit more interesting in actual Polish. For example, if you hit the Gora, you skok, which I think is important because I like to skok when I Gora. If you prawo and Gora, you'll kiosk Gora. And if you prawo, you'll ruch W praro. Okay, just so you know, a Leo is a ruch and a Lewo and a Gora is a block. Okay. Now, a Humgo and a Weirvan.
I was going to say, we veered into Monster Club territory, or whatever it was. Is it
I didn't make the rules. Monster Club is Monster Club territory, yes. Anyway, just bear in mind, if you want to skok, you'll need to use Gora.
A Grok and a Goro make a Rockmar.
Exactly. And if you want a Konichi El Okwi, then you'll need to use a Gora and a Prano, but maybe a Dot and a Liwu. It's up to you how you play the game. I don't make the rules. You decide. You decide how you play it. It's all up to you. So it's essentially a fighting game, all right? Like we've seen a fighting game a la Way the Exploding Fist, which was better, IK, which was better, IK Plus, which was better. In fact, they're all better. Almost every fighting game is better than this one, with the exception of a few that were really bad. So player 1 on the left, player 2 on the right, and have at thee with the moves until one of you is beaten. The background graphics are inexplicable, blocky nonsense, which I couldn't make out what on earth it was meant to be. I think it was a coffee shop or a train. I don't know what it was. It was like kind of a yellow, light blue and green monstrosity of pixels, which was in the shape of something irrecognizable. In front of that, there was some kind of karate sprite. I only know it was that because it was a man shape. The other one was some kind of blue trousered splat. I don't know what that was meant to be. I think it's the Thing character. I don't know who that was. Merrick, I believe, is the one that it was. And so you've got 99 seconds if you've chosen that to knock your opponent out. You've got energy bars at the top. Beneath that is the very basic UI, which comprises the timer, the name of the fighters, and your current score for achieving any moves, if you do. Beneath that is the fighting experience. And so ding, 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 have a go at each other, let the fighting moves commence. And obviously you'll be dancing around the joystick, desperately trying to skok or Gora or Praro your way through the game. Now, the problem there is, of course, that this is all contingent on you being able to hit your opponent and do damage to them, which you won't be able to do. Because within a short space of time, if you realise, like I did, that you left it on very hard to start with just by getting into the game, you're going to get beaten with an inch of your life in seconds and there's no way of getting up. So you get kicked down, get up again, kick down, get up again, kick down, get up again, end. Just over with. Yeah. Changed it to easy, went back into it thinking, okay, maybe I've got a chance. No. The controls are so stupid that they're not recognisable as controls. They don't really work. I wasn't able to really achieve any moves. I tried it with the joystick. I tried it with the keyboard. I tried it every which way but loose. I couldn't actually achieve. I could do moves now and again, but never in the time to hit him. So Merrick always had the advantage. And I could never seem to do anything that would hit them. So I think I hit, out of all the times I played this, and I played this multiple times in an attempt to try and achieve something, I think I managed to hit one of the fighters once. But by that time, my energy was so low, and then they just beat me with an inch of my life because they kick you and you fall down, and you're down for a few seconds, you get up slowly. By the time you've activated the moves, they don't always work. If they do, they're too late or they miss. The collision and the control detection and everything else is off the chart crap here. This is a bad thing. An uncontrollable fighting game that's been bettered by so many games before it. Back in 1985. So Where the Exploding Fist was better than this. And that was 1985. It had everything better. You had the template for the game. Even if you didn't think that was the right one for you, then you could have just moved the clock slightly forward and gone for IK. Also better than this. Or IK Plus. God knows that's way better than any of this. There's loads of fighting games. Even Way the Tiger was better than this. And that was terrible. That was really bad, wasn't it? It was sort of stinker.
That was,
Street Fighter. Any of those games, this is, I would argue, as much as the sprites are quite big versions of what they're meant to be, they're blocky and horrible looking and badly animated. That's no way to go through life, is it? You don't want that. Nope. This isn't supposed to be a 1993 fighting game. I mean, look at what's out there in and amongst the Arcadians and on the other formats. By now, you've got Street Fighters and things appearing and great big, there's no excuse for this. I mean, even that Bangkok Nights was huge, big sprites fighting. There's so many games on the C64 that are better than this. I don't know what possessed them to release it, really, other than we're in the dying days of the machine, and a game called Fist Fighter might attract attention for the wrong reason. I don't know. You may as well call your game Rimming Express, or, I don't know, stick your finger in the old.com. I don't know what you want to call it. Pen Island, whatever you're calling it.
Tunnel
This
Punch.
game was Tunnel. Ooh, yeah, punch him right in the old. I mean, this wasn't even good enough to be an Eddie Thumper game. This was crap. The one thing I always think about fighting games is how good is the groin punch? Because the groin punch for me is kind of the benchmark for success in a game like this. If you get a good, if you get an Eddie Thumper style groin punch in a fighting game, it can often mean the difference between a good experience and a bad one. This didn't have that. It didn't have any decent moves. In fact, I couldn't do any. So it was just a watch a guy in a karate suit get beaten up simulator by some kind of brown splatting blue trousers. I didn't want to pay $3.99 for that back then, and I wouldn't have paid for it now. I played this game so you didn't have to, so please don't play it because it is a stinkeroo. The brown title screen tells you everything you need to know. This game is covered in dog shit from beginning to end. Avoid it. Avoid it at all costs because you won't like it. You won't. Did you like it, Adrian? I bet you didn't.
No. Oh my God. This is bad on every single level. But the worst crime it commits, as you've rightly said, and we've written pretty much the same thing, just in a short way, is that it is impossible to control. It's impossible to control. The moves just don't happen. They don't happen. You press
Skok.
I couldn't skok a Drowow or whatever the hell damn thing is. I couldn't skok a Proco. I couldn't. I pushed up and right, and it went and. I was like, no, you're supposed to do a punch. I pushed up and fire, and you're supposed to do a flying kick. Oh, I'm knocked down. The CPU just pummels you with its special move, which is if you get some distance away, it just keeps doing. And the only way to duck it is to do the low kick sweep. But that's so temperamental, you just get battered with this special move, and you're dead, done, gone.
Awful.
Where the Exploding Fist was 8 years ago. And I know this is a crappy Street Fighter 2 knockoff, but you need to be better than an 8-year-old game. Even if you budget, you need to be, because they're all out budget at this point, and on cover tapes probably. Don't even get me started on things like IK Plus, or even things like Yi Kung Fu, which is, wipes the table with this. It's a dreadful thing, this. 24% is generous, because you can't play it.
No.
You can't give 24% something that can't play. That's a quarter good. You can't. There's nothing quarter good about this. The graphics are shit. It looks awful.
Yeah.
I don't know. Horrible backdrops. It look like they've been scanned. It looked like they've been scanned or something from the Amiga version after being wiped on to pick up dog crap. It's awful. Sprites are crap. Everything about it's shit. It's awful.
Yeah.
Through and through.
It is.
Ass.
Yeah, it is. This is wiping your ass on nettle leaves bad. So don't do that, by the way. It's bad.
Yeah, really bad. Fist Fighter. When you're thinking, okay, well, 24%. Who knows with the scoring, but still too high.
Yep. I don't know what 24% was for, but it wasn't for this game. That's for sure. Rubbish. Rubbish.
No, rubbish. Dreadful thing. Let's move on. Maybe things will look up. Well, they can't. They have to look up, don't they? They have to. Let's move on. And our next one, randomly, obviously I put these into no completely random order. We've got another one from Zeppelin. This is International Truck Racing.
Oh.
50%.
Okay.
And we may have escaped Zap, but we cannot escape from Zeppelin games because there's another one as they continue to pump out the weird and wonderful budget stuff. Only they do. But this time, we have International Truck Racing. £3.99. It's one of the odder racing games we've seen, I think. It's one of the odder ones. Black Fist Fighter, coded by the team from David Sowerby. Although this has got 3 coders on, Graham.
What?
3 coders on this. David Sowerby, Ian Copeland, and John Carlisle are all listed as coders on this.
Wow.
Visuals by Neil Hislop and music by Andrew Roger. Now, we've seen Sowerby and Copeland before. John Carlisle, though, is new, but we will see him on some more Zeppelin stuff as these episodes roll on. But we've seen, obviously, David Sowerby, Neil Hislop, and Andrew Roger did Fist Fighter. Copeland did other stuff. So anyway, this also came out on the Amiga and the ST, but only the C64 for the 8-bits. So, I guess score 1 for the bread bin at this point, 8-bit exclusive. I couldn't find instructions for this. It's pretty simple, though, but I did find the back of the box. And this is what it promises, Graham. This is what the C64 back of the box promises.
Right.
International truck racing. 38 tons of Arctic thundering around... Of Arctic thunder... Is Arctic a verb? Okay. Arctic thundering around a series of top-class circuits, qualifying, winning Grand Prix, up-rating truck performance, and aiming for the top of the World Championship leaderboard. Every single word in that almost has a capital letter. I don't know why. Featuring 1 or 2 player options. A, 2-player. Realistic tractor and trailer behavior and aerodynamics.
Realistic?
I don't know. I think this might be the Amiga one they've just copied over. 6 intelligent computer-controlled trucks. Authentic racing tactics. All axle tire compound selections. Pit stops. Truck ramming and blocking techniques, qualifying laps, intercooled turbo tractor units, World Championship rankings, truck damage assessments, and plenty of dirty diesel action.
Okay.
Dirty diesel action sounds like a Vin Diesel film I don't want to see, I have to say. But he did do Triple X, though, didn't he? So, anyway.
He did.
But anyway, it's a David Sowerby game. So we get the patented blue intro screen, which he used for loads of others. Instead of footballers or ice hockey players, there we get a ruddy big truck that just drives across the top of the screen. Massive. Quite impressive, I guess. Just a big truck. There's an okay piece of music from Mr. Rogers. It's okay. We get some yellow options as per normal. The 3 we always get. We get Start League, Practice, or See the Best Times. If we choose Practice, we can choose from any of the game's 6 tracks, which are UK, France, Germany, Italy, USA, and Japan. That's where you can go. The only way you know which track you're on is the name in the UI at the bottom, because each one looks exactly the same. But if you choose Start League, you get to race against 3 other trucks, not 6, across all 6 courses. So, that's something. Before you do that, though, you've got the opportunity to upgrade your truck. You start off with a lowly bit of cash, but on the screen, you can choose to improve the engine, which gives you a better top speed. You can improve your acceleration. You can improve your armor, which allows you to take more damage before you explode. You can include the brakes, which makes you stop better. Fuel, so you can go for longer between pit stops. And you can improve the tires, which gives you better grip around corners, I guess. Once you've chosen, then you can start the race. And we're in scrolling top-down super sprint territory here, only with articulated lorries.
Weird.
It's very strange. Every track looks the same. And I actually think this is just one screen with all the tracks in. As you can see the other tracks by the side of the one you are presently racing on, which is weird because you're supposed to be racing in different countries. You control a big red truck with very simple controls. Fire is for acceleration, down is for brake. You can let off fire to sort of slow down slower, and left and right turn in that direction. It's like slicks, I guess, if I remember rightly. The aim is simple enough. Get around the track and try and come first to get more money to upgrade your truck for the next race. You get 4 points for a win, 3 for a second, 2 for a third, 1 for a last place. You get money no matter what, though, so, more higher place, the more money you get. The UI at the bottom of the screen shows the current location, which means nothing because everything looks the same. Your speed in kmph, what lap you're on, your present lap and race times, the amount of fuel remaining, which is a number counting down from 99, and damage taken, which is a number counting up from 0 to 100, I think. Should you bash into other trucks, or they bash into you, and they will, you will take damage. Should your damage reach 100, you explode. Just explode. Yeah, and you're out of the race. And out of the race you go. Should you run out of fuel, though, you're not out of the race. You just limp along really slowly until you reach the pit stop that each track has. So each track has a pit stop. It's your usual twist and turns, top-down driving thing. There's a pit stop. You can just drive through that. You don't have to stop. But just driving through it automatically tops your fuel back up and reduces your damage. It counts up, though, so the less fuel and more damage you take, and you have to stay or drive slower through the pit stop to get them back up to full fuel and 0 damage. Or you can just risk not having full fuel. It's up to you. That's it. And that's about it, really. Okay. Now, the game is different, I guess. because you've got to take into account the fact you're trailing a massive trailer, and this moves independently of the front cab.
As they do.
Yeah, so you need to take that into consideration when cornering and steering and overtaking, because as you turn, that won't turn immediately, and it'll sort of drag you around a bit and things like that. It's got a semblance of physics, not real world physics, but there's a kind of something there, and it's not particularly realistic. It's there's an attempt to give an impression of trying to control many tons of truck and trailer.
Yeah, they had an idea what inertia was. They just didn't know how to implement that in code, did they?
No, not really. But at least they've had a go. The tracks get increasingly twisty as they go on, and you can whack these trucks round corners like no one's business, which, in real life would have you, centrifugal force would have you being dragged away into...
You'd be jackknifed all over the place.
Yeah, you would. But, it's a video game, so it's on the C64. You have to give it a little bit of leeway. And making your way to the front is a tricky thing, because the other trucks will smash into you with no thought for their own well-being. And one nice touch, though, I didn't notice in one race, the other trucks smash into each other and, crash each other. At one point, two of them, they were going down a straight, and they clearly wanted to be in the same space because they just stuck to each other, rammed into each other until they both ended up blowing up right in front of me. And I was like, yay. That's two of them out there, made it a nice, easy race for me because they killed each other. The visuals for this, they're clear. I'll give them that. They're clear enough. The truck sprites look like trucks from above, I guess. Like I said, it's not in any way realistic. They do it. It's a decent enough job of showing a massive truck turning and motoring along, I guess, in terms of like looking down these top-down super sprint type nonsense. The background visuals are boring, though. It's just brown and it's just grey and green. They could have done with some variety to differentiate the locations, but I guess they are what they are. The game scrolls smoothly enough. There's a bit of glitch flickering at the bottom. Sound effects exactly what you'd expect. Although every all the time sort of thing, I think there's supposed to be like a truck horn going off, which for no reason I couldn't forget. Someone's honking a horn constantly all over the place. And despite what the back of the box says, there's no multiplayer here, which is a bit of a letdown. The game itself is quite slight and easy once you get to grips with the handling. I wasn't sure what to expect from this. And at times when playing it, I found it quite dull because I was just on my own, just motoring around with these bland grey and green tracks. But, when he was in the thick of it with the other trucks, it was just it was stupid enough to be entertaining because the physics were crazy. And I was like, this is stupid. There's things bouncing off and stuff like that. And the other thing that I did like about this is that if the trucks hit you from behind, they speed you up. They don't knock you back. They actually speed you up, which is, they can't just come into you from the back. We've seen in loads of other games where they sort of hit you and you kind of slow down. These will knock you forward, which okay. There's far too little content here, though. I suppose it's the same amount of game as Slicks, isn't it? But that played better, looked and sounded better, and had the Challenger racing mechanic. So yeah, Slicks is a way better game. But I know I didn't hate this. You're not going to come back to this very often. You've got to get through this pretty quickly, and the novelty of controlling the truck where thin pretty sharp is. Maybe this seemed not so bad because I played it on the back of Fist Fighter.
Maybe.
It wasn't as bad as I was expecting. It's a really basic, weird, top-down, super sprint, squalling super sprint variant with trucks that float around. I couldn't get angry at it because I don't know. It just was like, this is just dead weird, a bit pointless and a bit thin. But that's pretty much what I thought. There's nothing really here. You might have a bit of a laugh with it, though. What did you think?
I thought it was rubbish. It's just a top-down game that didn't need to exist. With bad graphics. The effect they've tried to go for with grass just actually looked like it looked like a garden after you'd had a dog in the back garden for about a year and you'd never picked up its poop. Okay. So, however, is it playable? Well, the physics is all whack. So you might end up trying to. It's more or less a dragging a trailer round thing. With an application of physics that bears no resemblance to anything useful. Maybe there's some fun in it, though, if you really sort of, it's cheap at the end of the day and it only got 50%. I think that's probably about right for this. There's a game in there somewhere, maybe you're just hurling a truck around a track. The tracks are too small, the lorry's uncontrollable, really, and not much fun, and the physics is shit. The UI was rubbish, the graphics are arse, and the truck doesn't look much like a truck, really. Look like a bit of a Beetle. But apart from that, aside from those things...
It'll go a long way.
It'll go a long way. I suppose what I'll say is nobody's, as far as I'm aware, attempted this kind of thing before, like a truck racing game. And that's okay. So they tried something a bit different with the format. All right. It didn't work very well, but they tried. And so maybe for that alone, there's a bit of difference between some of the games of this type, that you are at least controlling a different vehicle. And that does make it different to control. And there's a little bit of a different experience in there. But it just lacks any of the real polish and everything that these games desperately need. we've seen games of this type that have better graphics in the BMX simulators from ages ago. So this is just, there's no attempt to make these graphics have look shaded or look decent. They are very much what they are. And whereas there's no real scrolling bugs as such, the physics is kind of rubbish. I just found myself driving across lots of grass verges, if that indeed was what they were meant to be. But there wasn't a lot of fun to be had in it. And the racing itself, well, I think you'd had to suspend your disbelief a lot to imagine this was anything other than sort of a difficult to control simulator. But, and why was it international? I guess it just was racing in different places. So, okay, it makes it international, doesn't it? So, Except
they weren't really, because it was the same place with the same
exactly.
tracks.
So 50%, maybe. It wasn't a great experience. It certainly isn't. Go and play Slicks, and just, if you're going to play a racing game of this type, and the trucks thing, well, it's not really a thing. So there you go. That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I can certainly understand that. It's not brilliant. It's not brilliant at all. But on the back of Fist Fighter,
well. Anything on the back of Fist Fighter would probably be infinite, as long as you could actually control it and do something useful with it. At least in this game, you could steer the truck, not necessarily very well, but it did move when you steered it in that direction. You just go, no, not moving.
No, not doing that. There you go. That's international truck racing. A lot of the games we're going to be doing on these episodes, by the way, are budget, because that's where the
that's where it's at. That's it.
That's where it is. So we've still got one more left for this episode. Let's move on to that. And Graham, play some ping pong. Let's get drunk and play some ping pong. Or
play ping pong.
Are you table tennis? Tell us all about it.
Well, this is actually international table tennis, because you all know that John Carlyle, who made this, also made international tennis, and of course he made international truck racing. So this is international table tennis. Now, this was from Zeppelin Games again, because that's who's left. Graphics Neil Hislop, title screen Neil Hislop, and the musician Andrew Rogers. Same. It's the Zeppelins, isn't it? The Zeppers, the old Zeps. He did F1 Tornado music and Carnage, if you need some music that he did, just a list. The loading screen on this was odd, really. It was a sporty man holding a baguette, which was unusual. I thought it was going to be about table tennis. But he was reasonably well realised, albeit that he looked like a sort of I don't know, kind of a rocker or a punk rocker. I guess you call him a mod or a rocker. I don't know what you call that guy. But anyway, it is what it is. A sports guy in tight shorts, which I don't believe is necessary for table tennis. So, fairly simple game in its construction, though. This is not a great deal of instructions for this. I did find some, and they were, again, in Polish. Now, I won't bore you with the Polish translations of the controls this time. It says table tennis. Table tennis is a one-player or two-player game controlled with joysticks. There you go. You enjoyed your instructions there?
I know what to do now.
Don't need any more than that. You can choose one of the following options: single match tournament or configure game. If you go for game configuration, you can change the number of games from 1, 2, or 5. You can change the computer skill from easy, fair, or hard. You've got the expedite rule, which you can have on or off, which is the game acceleration. So if you get to a stalemate, you can sort of play almost like a sort of sudden death type thing. You can change the ball speed from slow, normal, or fast, which is useful, actually. You can attend a competition and watch matches, and then you've got sound effects and things like that. You can also choose from, and these are the really useful instructions I felt. User tells you whether you're human or computer. Name is your player name. Grip is your back grip. Back grip. Speed is paddle movement speed, and your back colour is your back colour, or paddle colour, as they refer to it. Basic controls here. Press fire to toss the ball. Second press hits it, okay? And afterwards, the following moves are possible. Joystick right is apply right spin. Joystick left, apply left spin. Joystick away from you is a stronger shot. Joystick toward you, drop shot, or a softer shot. The rules are the same as table tennis rules. The first player to 21 wins. If both players reach 20 points, the winner is the first player to gain a 2-point advantage. If player serves for 5 points, after which service changes to the opponent. At 2020, players alternate serves after every point until one wins. And then it says the expedite rule. If the game is not completed within 15 minutes, the expedite rule may be introduced. In this mode, players alternate serves after every point. A player must win the point with 13 shots, otherwise the point is awarded to the opponent. Fair enough? Got all that? That's how it plays.
Got it all.
Table tennis game.
Yeah. Okay.
So once you've chosen your options, which is quite nice, you'll get into the game itself. But you actually got quite a nice view here. They've gone for brown in the background again. I'll let it go, but brown, don't overuse it, I think. So you've gone from the table tennis logo screen with the man holding a baguette in front of the blue. Now you've got the brown, but at the top left, you've got the player, and on the top right, you've got the player who you're playing against. In the middle is the clock, timer. In the center of the things is the slightly elevated view from the table tennis table. in the usual position for these things, so slightly elevated and towards the back. And in this game, it's a lot like those other games we played, which were the Super Ping Pong, whatever it was called, where you are controlling the bats. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it now, but there's a few of them.
The Konami one, wasn't there?
So yeah, you got Superstar Ping Pong, and things like that. Now, so you basically control the bat in this, and so you proceed to do so. You press the button, and you'll serve, and then the bat will get knocked over. The physics here is actually quite good, a good representation of Earth-based physics, and the ball moves quite speedily across the table tennis table. With that, your opponent will swat it back. And then you'll obviously try and go into a volley by hitting it back and forth until one of you is eliminated from the earth. Until one of you misses, essentially. And then, of course, you score a point. And so it goes on until you win. That's how it plays. It's ping pong. You move your table tennis back with your joystick, and you obviously press the button to hit the thing and do the different sort of variations of the moves. It's pretty standard controls for this kind of thing. Now, things do move at a pretty pace, even if you change the speed of the ball and everything else, but things do move at quite the pace in this, so you've got to be pretty nimble on the old joystick or the controls. For someone like me who's not that nimble with it, it was a bit of a hit-and-miss sort of adventure, really. But there was actually a passable game of table tennis in here if you went with it. It's not doing anything super fancy. The graphics are okay, but they are what they are, and I think what you lack in fidelity, you make up for in physics speed, and the physics table tennis ball actually does move and sound like a table tennis ball, and that's no bad thing. I think it misses the ability to go further back, which is what often happens in table tennis. If you ever watch actual table tennis, they don't glue themselves to the table. They actually go quite far back. But it does feature your ability to do spin shots and things, which, having played someone who was an expert at table tennis once for a bit of a laugh, it was like watching some evil wizardry take place. And there was me just going, tiki-taki, tiki-taki, tiki, and then this guy kind of did this whizzy sort of spin shot. The ball kind of hit the table and sort of shot off to the right. It accelerated after it went slow and then sped up. I don't know how he did it. But that's the really good table tennis players know how to time warp the ball, don't they? There's some kind of magic. It's almost like they're controlling it to go whatever way they want. It's crazy. So you can't get the kind of distance from the table tennis table in this. Obviously, it was simply the machine's screen real estate doesn't allow you to do that. But there isn't actually that bad a view of the table tennis table. It just means that you're kind of on the table all the time. So you're really only playing from the table edge to the net. There's no sort of going further back or too far to the sides as well. But other than that, this is table tennis. And table tennis as a game is as old as the hills, isn't it? We're going right back to Pong and things like that. So it's not a bad game to have. Now, I'll say this. I can't say I was majorly shook with this. It was all right for me. But it's not a bad table tennis game if you like table tennis. It's just perhaps a little bit basic. You can do a tournament, though, and do single matches, such as they are. I think had they just built in a little bit more of a league and a bit more detail into this and just to put a little bit more bones on it instead of going for the old $3.99 special, the Zeppelin special. We talked about it before, haven't we, when he was the guy at the market. Tell you what, darling, I'll give you 6 steaks, 3 games, and you can have this table tennis game for free. I've got a horse. You can have that as well if you like. That kind of, they're not throwing everything in the kitchen sink in this. They've said, right, what is table tennis? 2 bats, a ball, and some kind of table that needs to bounce off of, and that's all you're getting for your money. The fact that it's got a few extra details here and there, okay, fine, but for $3.99, that's all you're getting. It scored 63% in Commodore Force. I'd say that's probably about right in the sense that there's not. I think it's like the other 37% isn't the fact that the game isn't very good. It's 37% of the game missing. Had they put 37% more effort in, this score would have been a lot higher because it's quite a nice, speedy version of table tennis. It's just lacking any more razzmatazz than required. It's very, very pedestrian in the sense that it's not exciting. It's a table tennis game without the pizzazz. It's just table tennis. And it does exactly what it says in the tin, no more, no less. So I had some time with it, but it's not a game I would ever have picked up, and I certainly wouldn't have gone back to it or anything like that. But at $3.99, maybe you'd have had a bit of a blast on 2-player or something. I don't know. It does follow the rules of table tennis at least, and the physics is okay. So I give credit where credit's due, but it lacks any kind of dynamism or excitement other than that. What did you think?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I thought it was a pretty good version of table tennis, all said and done. I remember liking the Konami one, Imagine one, Ping Pong, and the Ringler one I seem to remember was actually okay. And I thought this one was we haven't got many of them. There's some nice options at the start. The ability to configure players and the CPU is good, difficulty and things like that. Some little touches to change up how it plays. That's still good, nice in the game. The view is the view, innit? It's that view. So, but it works well. I agree. Maybe it could have zoomed out a bit, but it's not going to do that, is it? We're not in that sort of time.
No.
And I at first, it took me a little while to get used to the controls, but when I figured out all you had to do was just position the bat where you want it to hit, because it returned it automatically, apart from the serve. So you just all your job is to get the bat in the right position, which is tricky because it comes back quite fast, and you want to be in the right place to be able to get to it. I was actually able to start holding my own against the CPU, got some enjoyable rallies going, and won a few games and stuff. So I thought I was doing all right. The physics on the ball was solid. I didn't look at it and go, "My God, what is this?" We've seen some crappy ball physics in our time, but these were pretty okay. There was snapping of controls; it all worked. It was all right. It's been a while since we've seen a ping pong game, like I said, but pleasant surprise. Thought it was fairly decent. You never know what you're going to get with these Zeppelin budget games, do you? You can get fist fighter, levels of shit. You can get international truck racing, middling, whatever, or you can get table tennis, which is actually simple concept, but it done pretty well. I'd agree with you. 63%. It could have done with a bit more depth. Got a cup, but a league wouldn't have been missing. Wouldn't have gone amiss, just to sort of keep you sort of engaged and things like that. But yeah, it's fine. I think you could configure it to have multiple human players in the cup, couldn't you? Which is quite a nice touch. But on the whole, yeah, table tennis. Maybe I'd have given it a little bit more, but it's a table tennis game. They're a bit limited by what they are, aren't they? As well. Can't really do that much with them. But this is a decent version. Not too bad. And there we go. That's our first 4 games from Commodore Force, covered in detail, as we usually do. Clearly, the standout this week is Mayhem in Monsterland.
Yeah. I think that's fairly easy on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. But, it's what it is. That's not too hard. Despite our misgivings and stuff, it's still something you should probably go look at because it's bloody incredible, technically. I'd avoid Fist Fighter like the plague.
Do.
You might have a bit of a laugh with international truck racing, and ping pong's not, table tennis, so international table tennis. It's not too terrible. That's it for this week. This is our first episode in our new phase. It's quite cool. I have sort of planned out what the next one's are. Obviously, our next episode is going to be Tron. You're going to have to give me a bit of time to get used to presenting these in the right way, because I'm still in old phase mode. So, but our next episode will be in a couple of weeks. That will be Tron. So we'll be looking at the films, the games, as you said, the weird games. Was that Lee Dove linked us to the Mattel? Is it Mattel, the handheld light cycle one that you can actually play in your browser these days? So we'll put a link to that in. So we'll be having a look at that. Talking about anything else, spin-offs and weird stuff, all from the Tron franchise, and most importantly, the 3 films as well.
Yes, of course, things that set the benchmarks for all sorts of stuff. I've found out some amazing information about that actually, so I'll be quite looking forward to that. Yeah,
that'd be cool. I'm quite looking forward to hearing all about this information. I'm going to go in a bit blind.
Might say, Adrian, there goes nothing. Here comes something.
Absolutely. There's just a picture of an orange. I watched that scene again the other day. It's so weird.
Yes, I've had to revisit all of the Trons, including Ares.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, that's what it's about. The Trons.
It is, yeah. But do you want to know what the games are that we'll be looking at when we do our next set of 4 games in June?
I think so. I do.
Well, in June, our next 4 games that we've got from Commodore Force are these. We've got Alien 3.
Okay.
Which 93% it got, so who knows?
Okay.
Supposed to be pretty good.
Who knows?
Jimmy's Super League.
Is that Jimmy?
We've had Jimmy's League. We've had Jimmy's Football League. Jimmy's something before this. He's done another one. McDonald Land.
Oh dear.
I don't know what to expect for that. And WWF 2 European Rampage Tour.
Okay, right. A wrestling game then.
A wrestling game, yeah. Sequel to that other WWF game, I guess, since it's WWF 2.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be our games for June. Right. I had no idea if they're going to be any good. I don't know anything about any of those. Not even to comment on them. I don't know what the Alien 3 is, but I think in Alien 3 you are running around with a gun at some point. So I don't know.
We'll see. I'd hope so.
Well, it's not like that's not Alien 3 the film though, is it? You don't have a gun there.
Yeah, did they not have guns in it? Do they? I don't think.
No, because on a prison planet, aren't there is no guns. They've got a few sharp knives. Whatever he says.
I thought they did end up finding some in some weapons store or something, but maybe they didn't. No, because they're running around chasing them out and stuff.
Yeah. The only guns I think is the ones that the Weyland-Yutani people bring at the end, isn't it?
Stupid ending to that film.
Yeah, it's not the best. But anyway, so that's what we'll be looking at next month. In the meantime, we'll be looking at Tron. I think that's about it. Anything you want to add, Graham? Anything you want to say?
The journey of Commodore Force has begun, which is exciting. There's bound to be some interesting games there. This is all new territory, like I said at the start. Not really played any of these. I was well into the Amiga by this point and actually slowly heading towards dare I say it, the land of PC.
Yeah, you were. I remember coming back to your house and you were playing the Terminator PC first-person shooter.
Yeah, I was playing. I ended up playing. I got a PC at a certain point because I was playing Duke Nukem and things like that and stuff like that on it. And
yes,
I did. And then of course Command and Conquer took over my life for quite a long time.
Yeah, I'll do that. You were well into that, weren't you? Command and Conquer.
Yeah, because it's ace. I still like it to this day. And Red Alert, yeah.
And Red Alert. Yeah, I remember Red Alert. Did you like 2? Did you ever play the later Command and Conquers?
The only Command and Conquers I ever played were Command and Conquer and Command and Conquer Red Alert.
You never went on to Tiberian Sun or anything, or 2? Or...
Nope. No, my lad did. My lad sort of took over the mantle and he really loves them. But I sort of skirted with it for a bit and then I just kind of tuned out of it again. And that's actually when I started getting into more sort of music on the PC side of things and doing bits and bobs like that. And web design really at that point. Started doing web graphics and stuff and just doing other stuff. And I kind of started to phase. Games became something I didn't really do a lot of on that. I still played more with Duke Nukem and stuff like that. The novelty of that stupid game for a while. And I didn't really revisit the PC until much, much later when weirdly I played Halo on the PC all the way through. Way later on. Yeah,
God, that's not the way to play Halo.
No, strange. I enjoyed it. But anyway, that's a long time ago now. But yeah, so at this point now was still Amiga at this point, and I didn't even look back at a C64. I didn't even consider them. I know I didn't have contacts on the C64 at this point. I'd abandoned it completely. So I'm quite interested to see what they do with some of these games. And Mayhem in Monsterland is a very interesting technical exercise, lacking in some of the other things, but the technical aspects of that game are quite astonishing. So, but you see so much of the demo scene in there; it's quite amazing, really.
Yeah, it certainly does. All right, I think on that note, we'll call it a day. We hope you stick with us. We're continuing on. We're not going anywhere. We are this, but this is the kind of the new format. This is the new style. Hopefully you enjoy it. And like I said, a couple of weeks we've got Tron coming out, and if you want more of us, sign up at the Patreon because there'll be an exclusive Patreon episode, and that'll be coming out at the end of the month, basically. So we'll fit that in somewhere.
Patreon.com/Zapped
to the past. Yes, and that's cool. If you go join up at C64 level, less than the price of a pint of beer, as you well know these days.
Yep, and loads of extra stuff.
Yeah. So on that note, we'll say goodbye. So as ever, I have been Adrian Mills,
and I have been Graham Raddings.
And you've been listening to Zapped to the Past, and we'll see you again. Well, you might say, here comes something, there goes nothing, or whatever the hell he says in Tron. In 2 weeks' time.
Pretty much that.
We'll be here to de-res you. See you then.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as all the other amazing things we like to talk about, inspired, of course, by our lifelong friendship and journeys through all those fun games, times, TV shows, films, music, and everything in between and beyond. We will, of course, return very soon with another episode to explore more games and other exciting stuff. Until then, if you want to listen to all the previous episodes of the podcast, you can. Just go to our website at zappedtothepast.com and you'll find them all there. Alternatively, you can also find us on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, Google, all of them. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. We also have a Patreon, which gives you early access to ad-free episodes, instant access to our amazing Discord server, discounts on our zappedtothepast.shop merchandise, a shout-out, and even involvement in the odd episode or two, all for less than the price of a sandwich. Go to patreon.com/zappedtothepast and join in the fun at the C64 tier. We do always like to hear from our listeners, so if you'd like to communicate with us, you can contact us via the website at zappedtothepast.com, email us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com, or find us on all the usual social media platforms. And if you like what we're doing, you can like, share, and write reviews because it really does help us out. Zapped to the Past is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings, and produced at the legendary Flaky Bits 2.0 studio. All opinions expressed in the podcast are those of the writers, and while we indeed love the Commodore 64 and everything about it, we are not affiliated with any particular Commodore 64 magazine or publication in any way. Stay safe and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.